Hola, hola, ¿qué pasa? In my young sprawa y salvete. What is going on? What is up? So, buckle up, sports fans, because I'm going to try to cover a couple, maybe more than a couple articles here and try to piece together something of a timeline because I've been reading some stuff, more stuff about Rings of Power and how it came to be and just following the money, if you will. So, I have been trying to figure out again more pieces of the timeline, and what I found was first off this article on CNBC, which is dated 9th of September, so 9/9. So that's about a week ago, 9 days ago. This is the 18th of September that I'm making this recording, and it goes through the standard stuff. Most expensive TV show of all time. Hardly any credits between the two Hollywood showrunners. And this was what was interesting to me because it's actually mentioning more about the connection between these guys and Simon Tolkien. So Patrick McKay and J.D. Payne were able to rise above dozens of generic pitches with their deeply thought out plan for a 50-hour television saga. So the duo's pitch for the show, which focused on a period of Middle-earth thousands of years before the events in Lord of the Rings, inadvertently aligned with the vision that J.R.R. Tolkien's grandson Simon Tolkien had for a series, according to the Journal. Simon Tolkien had an idea of the show he wanted, and they went and pitched it without knowing it. Now, right off the bat there, I do believe that is suspect. Now, because we don't know the circumstances surrounding that, or how much time elapsed between the acquisition of the rights to Lord of the Rings and the appendices by Amazon in November of 2017 and this pitch. I don't know. But I do have another endpoint that I'll get to in one moment here, possibly next. So apparently Simon Tolkien was impressed that Payne could speak Elvish. Yay. Okay. And so this actually, I mean, it just ties in directly with my previous reporting, if you will, with my previous analysis of the video that I did on how the Tolkien estate, how Amazon ghosted Peter Jackson, because that's where I first started talking about this. And I'll provide a link to that as well. But my point was that the Tolkien estate was the one who laughed all the way to the bank on this. And I mean, Simon Tolkien's very loose interpretation, or I'll go with that word, with interpretation. With Simon Tolkien's very loose attitude towards adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's work is proving to be the loophole here. So that's it for this article. And so apparently it paid off, whatever. But I've also seen reports that this figure of 25 million viewers in the first 24 hours is disputed. However, that's something for another video that I don't really want to focus on right now. So proceeding. So this one is one by the Wall Street Journal, and it echoes the same thing that the CNBC article talks about. This one was from, what was the published date? Here we go, September 8th. So that was just a day before, so that's like 10 days ago. And it gives a little bit more information, and it gives more background on Payne and McKay's friendship and working relationship, and I'm not going to go into that. Suffice to say that the article indicates that J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay have been working together since like high school, which, you know, good for them. Great. And there were more candidates. This was interesting. It fleshes this piece out more. The company Amazon met with more than 30 candidates for the job, and the pool included big names like Anthony and Joe Russo, like the Avengers Endgame directors, and other people. So, but again, this is the point that's echoed. There was nothing generic about the writing team. The one, Mr. Payne speaks Elvish and quoted Tolkien verbatim in their initial conversations with Amazon executives. So yeah, great. Mr. J.D. Payne is a Tolkien. He's read Tolkien. Great. Okay. And proceeding, let's see. They mapped out their epic series on a whiteboard in Mr. Payne's assistant's apartment, having no clue that their elaborate plans would appeal precisely to the taste of Simon Tolkien, the author's grandson and director of the family estate. Simon Tolkien had an idea of the show he wanted. So if we put the brakes on right now, this is fascinating because this sentence, this right here, demonstrates that Simon Tolkien is really a driving force behind this whole thing. He's really the driving force behind Amazon's choice of these guys. And if he's doing that, then he also has to be the driving force behind the interaction, the interface between the Tolkien estate and Amazon Studios, Amazon. And that is pretty much it for this article. And this article does a nice job. I mean, they paint the showrunners in a decent light, and it's like, oh, the gamble paid off, you know. So, I mean, it's just mostly it's mostly an historical account of what these guys did and their past and just this project. So it's not really an op-ed. So it was interesting. It's definitely an enlightening read. And let's see, what I wanted to focus on this as well. For the timeline's sakes, let's see if I can find it here. Here we go. While they had appeared inexperienced, they had quietly worked on projects for several major studios and made valuable contributions at J.J. Abrams' production company. And their screenplay for a thriller about a wrongly accused convict escaping a Tasmanian penal colony in the 1800s landed on the blacklist for the best unproduced scripts. Now, that was in the year 2017, because this is the 2017 blacklist. This is published December 12th, 2017, roughly a month after the Lord of the Rings rights were acquired by Amazon in November 2017. So here's their screenplay. So this is what J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay were working on in 2017. So they're like, okay, well, we're done with that. And so now what do we do? So I'm going to jump to another article on a different page, and I'll just kind of try to do this chronologically, because this article is from July 30th, 2018. And even back then, so this is like 4 years ago and some change. Updated November 3rd, 2020. So even back then, I was aware of this, and I had heard myself about the prospect of a Young Aragorn series, which I thought would have been awesome. I mean, why couldn't we have had that? We can't have nice things, you know? And so the writers for Amazon's next massive TV project, Lord of the Rings, have been revealed, announcing Star Trek 4 writers Patrick McKay and J.D. Payne, as they have been appointed to tackle the gargantuan project. So this is right on that, right? So this is basically not too far after coasting on the success of 2016's Star Trek 4, and Star Trek Beyond, I think, was that one. Saw it in the theater once. It was all right. It was fun. So let's see. It has been reported that both J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay have no previous writing experience, but to calm your shock, neither do Game of Thrones writers D.B. Weiss and David Benioff. Yeah, we saw how that turned out, didn't it? So going from there, here we go. Rumors have surfaced saying that Season 1 could be featuring a young Aragorn. This would make sense not only from a lore standpoint, but also from a visual standpoint. So that was pretty cool. I would have loved to see that. And my point about this is to demonstrate that this point on the timeline is July 30th, 2018. So by July 30th, 2018, J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay had been picked up to work on this. That is about 7 or 8 months from November 2017, where the rights to the material were acquired by Amazon. So it didn't take them long, so it looks like Simon Tolkien and Amazon.com spent about 6 months, maybe 7 months, interviewing these 30 some odd potential screenwriters, potential showrunners. And in July, they finally picked J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay. So flipping back over to this one, this shows their take. It confirms that the same piece again. So this is the third source confirming the link between Simon Tolkien, I should say the link among Simon Tolkien, Amazon, and J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay. So let's see here. Here's the beginning of the article. Discovering things that already existed. Yuck. So it's basically plagiarism at this point, because they're just rewriting they're just rewriting the details of the same story. And that's just because, we know that Sauron, basically by this point, I believe we know that Sauron is Halbrand. Halbrand is Sauron. And now we know how he gets to Numenor. And so they're following the same arc, the same beats of Tolkien's mythology, but the details are different. I can remember back in the day, let's see, the 13th Warrior. I think I'll have to do some double checking on this, but I recall reading that eventually Michael Crichton just basically admitted that the 13th Warrior was kind of a plagiarism of the epic poem Beowulf. And I'm like, wow, that could very well be. That could very well be. So, I guess it's not plagiarism if you own the rights to it. But it really kind of is, because you don't own the rights to the Second Age. So, again, it just confirms that, the Tolkien estate is just laughing all the way to the bank. Because there's another thing that I have to get to show that. But again, this at the end here, we worked quite closely with the Tolkien estate, which is very helpful in this regard, and additionally with Simon Tolkien as an individual, who was a consultant on the show, and some incredible Tolkien experts were with us in their more narrow areas of expertise in language and script and assorted other things. So they were all around us and an incredible help. Blah, blah, blah. All right, so there's that one. So that's like the third instance confirming how Simon Tolkien was a consultant with Amazon and kind of handpicked these guys. So the plot thickens. So this was a fantastic article that shed some insight in a somewhat cynical way. But this one is dated 9/15, so this is just a couple days ago. 9/15, that's 3 days ago at the time of this recording. And this is on Archaven Comics. No idea. I just found it by searching. So this one is worth the time to check out. I can't think of anything they got right at all. The casting is terrible, and they are all unknowns except for Lenny Henry, and I can hear the chorus of owls going, "Who?" through my computer. He's playing the old magic Negro hobbit, and I'm afraid he's been a has-been for a while. This was a $500 million series, and none of it could be spared for somebody anyone has heard of. How about Chris Hemsworth as Sauron, or Elizabeth Olsen as Galadriel? Sure, you can argue with my off-the-cuff suggestions, but you know what you can't argue with? The fact that you've heard of them. Nobody has heard of any of the show's leads. This is simply another facet of the fool's parade Amazon is dancing in now. Now, right away, I totally dig his point. Still, I do think, you can be a no-name. A lot of the people in, one could argue that in casting the Fellowship of the Ring, Peter Jackson actually didn't cast big, widely known American actors. He casted several European actors. He casted Christopher Lee and Ian McKellen, and Viggo Mortensen, I believe, was American, and Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan. So I mean, the only two guys were Sean Astin and Elijah Wood, I think, who were the two primary main American actors that might have been known. Well, Sean Astin for Rudy, and Elijah Wood for, I mean, Elijah Wood's been acting since he was a young kid, basically. So proceeding, let's see. The whole mess started as a vanity project, and it couldn't be anything else. That said, the timing looked pretty good to take over the TV fantasy market. Game of Thrones was ending its legendary run. The market was going to be open. Yeah, great. So let's see. This was it. This was fascinating. Now, here's the thing you have to remember about Amazon. They're always throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. It's just how Bezos does business. He wants as many data points as possible. So when he set out to have his own Game of Thrones, he didn't put all his chips in one pile. There were going to be two major fantasy series, one geared for families and another for adult content. This, I did not actually know. I did not know this. And it gets into amazing stuff later. The adult content show was going to be a Conan show, and they had made the superb choice of Ryan Condal to be the showrunner. Slightly before this, the Tolkien estate had gone into arbitration with the Saul Zaentz Company and kind of got hurt. This was another interesting piece of the puzzle that I was kind of curious about. I knew the Saul Zaentz Company had the rights to the Tolkien movies, which Tolkien himself sold to them. Was it 1969, 68, 69, somewhere in there? And they were the ones, the Saul Zaentz Company, who I guess worked out the deal with New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers. Well, New Line Cinema, I know, because New Line produced movies that Peter Jackson directed, the movie trilogy. So again, it gets pretty thorny, but working through it. So here we go. Slightly before this, the Tolkien estate had gone into arbitration with the Saul Zaentz Company and kind of got hurt. For labyrinthine legal reasons, the Tolkien estate was required to put the appendices at the back of Return of the King up for sale. And for other reasons, it had to be a TV series. I do know why. This is because the movie version, the movie rights had already been sold, but not the TV rights. The movie rights were already claimed, were already accounted for. So basically what Amazon got was the rights to a TV show and the rights to the appendices. But the Tolkien estate was not required to sell those TV rights to the Saul Zaentz Company. So that was fascinating. And Christopher, who is, the keeper of the estate, basically, fine, anybody but you. And it was announced that those rights were for sale. So that happened in late 2017, August, September of 2017. So then Amazon went through a lot of people with proven track records. They signed Patrick McKay and JD Payne, who have nearly non-existent IMDb credits, to be the showrunners. So they were associated with J.J. Abrams, etc., etc. Amazon bought the rights to the appendices for $250 million in 2017, directly from the Tolkien estate, and didn't take a close look to veto the rights that Christopher Tolkien automatically had. Incidentally, grandson Simon Tolkien is claiming that this was his vision from the start, but since Christopher Tolkien was still alive at the time, serious doubts. Now it gets very murky. Amazon announces that it has these rights, and there are words to the effect that they will be remaking The Lord of the Rings as a mini-series. Here comes the guesswork. So again, grain of salt, guesswork, rumor, because everything is sketchy. We don't have the complete information. So this gets, I think I'll skip some of this in the interest of time, but this is so worth reading because it talks about the legal rights. It talks about intellectual property, and I would strongly encourage people to read that because it's very important. I did a little video about this probably a couple months ago, Maybe I'll link it in the description as well. And let's see. In essence, I think the takeaway is that the Conan project got shut down. So they quit Conan and they pushed forward with the Lord of the Rings project. So Warner Brothers, for its part, Warner Brothers, because I know that there's the animated War of the Rohirrim. I remember hearing about that as well. So that has to maintain Warner's license to Lord of the Rings. So Warner's like, nope. So then at the end of the day, I think Amazon, it works out that Amazon acquired these rights. So the interesting thing is that 2019 was also the year Game of Thrones ended in a complete disaster. So that fantasy market was open again. And let's see. In 2020, Amazon presses on with Wheel of Times and the Rings of Power. And let's see. I remember hearing about the big fail of Wheel of Time. I haven't watched it, but I remember hearing that a lot of fans just were not happy. Too much woke and too much womanism injected to maintain any kind of belief that it was Robert Jordan's story or world. And so the budget for Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power is insane. It is now, without question, the most expensive TV show in history. Although I strongly suspect what might be more insane is how big of a trap Amazon is in for doing business with bad reboot. So, yeah. Basically, they got Amazon stuck with them, is the gist of it. And now for the coup de grace, what I'd like to end on for this article is, let's see here. Making things so much worse for Amazon is the fact that House of the Dragon is absolutely spanking Rings of Power in the ratings. How did House of the Dragon come out of nowhere after years of Warner Brothers being unable to get a series off the ground? This is the worst part for Amazon. George R.R. Martin handpicked the showrunner, Ryan Condal. That's right, the same guy who was supposed to be making Conan for Amazon is now the guy who's dragging Amazon across the concrete with House of the Dragon. So I thought that was a heck of an article. Gave a lot of interesting insights. And let's see, what else do I have here? I think that's pretty much it. I will wrap it up with that because this video is long enough. And again, I think it actually confirms my original video and my original thought that, the Tolkien estate is just laughing all the way to the bank. And they were involved in this more than I realized. And it was Simon Tolkien. It was Simon Tolkien doing this whole thing, So the Tolkien estate approached Amazon and asked somebody, hey, please buy this. And then they said, oh, by the way, yeah, we want to, pick the showrunners. And, oh, here's some relatively unknown showrunners who are familiar with Lord of the Rings. And yeah, because, movies should be different from the source material, from the literature that they're based on, then we can do whatever we want. This is all Simon Tolkien's perspective. And Simon Tolkien is a lawyer. So, he cannot be unaware of all this stuff. He couldn't be unaware of how these things worked. He was a lawyer, he was a barrister and a solicitor and a barrister. He practiced law and he practiced at the bar. He practiced in court. So, like I said, I'm not trying to take anything away from the guy. He's no slouch. He's a very, very, very smart guy. And as such, he knows how to work this. And my point is that I just don't think he's the best guy to be in the position where he's in with the authority to handle the literature of J.R.R. Tolkien. Again, going back to the fact that because he's got some happy memories of his grandfather, J.R.R. Tolkien, which is great, so for that reason, for what, that entitles him to special treatment, and special consideration. It's like, no, not quite. No. So anyway, that's I'll wrap it up there. And thanks a lot for watching. Appreciate y'all. And another piece of the puzzle. Here we go. We'll see you in the next video. Till next time. Peace out.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother...